With the latest update to all endgame modes, Pure Fiction has now joined the new 3-team endgame format. So in this video I'll give you a quick overview of which teams perform best against each boss so you can maximize your score and get those extra jades. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this Pure Fiction is very debuff reliant. As you can see, you essentially want to inflict debuffs to gain extra grit. And if you know Pure Fiction, you know that grit is pretty good. It helps you a lot and you should definitely play into the grit buffs. Since you can see my teams already, I'll just quickly go over my own clears before I recommend the teams. So for boss 1, I used the Remembrance team with the third buffs variation. And then for the second team, I used an Archer team with the variation buff again. And for the last team, I used an Elation team with Evanesia. And of course I used the Elation buff, which is the second one. So I've gathered a list of all the most popular teams. If there's something I've missed, please just let me know down below in the comments and I will quickly reply. But let's just start off with the first team. And the first team is the Acheron and Mortonix Blade team. So the Acheron team just recently got improved with the introduction of Mortonix Blade, and to me it's very clear that the Acheron team will thrive very well in the second boss against Cocolia. Now first off, Cocolia is lightning weak, and there's lightning weakness pretty much everywhere, as well as fire weakness everywhere for Mortonix Blade. Now obviously weakness doesn't really matter as much as in Epoch Shadows, but I do still think that is something to consider, especially if you're having a hard time in Pure Fiction. Now if you can't run Acheron on the second node, you can run the team on either one. Lycus doesn't really have lightning res himself, but these things have high lightning res, which is a bit annoying. But for the third node, Kafka also have lightning res. Now it's not high lightning res, but it is lightning res nonetheless. So it's just a matter of just pick your poison. But the second node is definitely the best option for a Acheron team. And for the buff choice, you will likely choose the first one, which will increase your ultimate damage. Now for Elation team, I would recommend the third one with both imaginary weakness for Silverwolf as well as physical weakness for Evanesia. But if you can't run the Elation team on the third node, I think the first one is fine because it has physical weakness for Evanesia. But for the second one, I think the Silverwolf team can get by as well. But the Evanesia team might have it a bit harder because of the physical res. So for Silverwolf team, the third node is preferred. And if you can't run the third node, just run the first or the second. It doesn't really matter. Whereas for the Evanesia team, if you can't run the third node, then you would prefer the first one over the second one. And for the buffs, there's only really one, and that is the middle one for both Elation main DPS. Now for the Break team, I would highly recommend the second one because of the fire weakness on pretty much every single enemy, and if they don't have fire weakness you can just implant. Now if you want to run Rapper or Boothill, I just think that the third one is probably the better option. Now I'm not really too familiar with those teams, but since Kafka does have physical weakness and imaginary weakness, I do think that both Boothill and Rapper will sort of excel in this boss. If you can't run Firefly on the second node, I think that both the first node and the third node is fine. I just think it depends on what other teams you have. And for the buffs, it's just the third one variation. Now for the next team is going to be Finon Hypercarry. As of recording this, Finon is actually on the banner right now, so if you pulled him, congrats. I do think that you can run Finon against the first node and the third node if you want to. I think it's just up to preference. There's a lot of physical weakness in the third one, but Finon against Lycus is actually pretty good as well because Lycus can just charge your ult. So whenever you get out of your ult state, you can just immediately ult again if you want to. So again, it's just up to preference and what other teams that you might have. I think the second node might be a bit difficult for Finon since Cocolia does have physical res. And for the buffs, it's just the third one variation. Now for the Remembrance team, as you can see, I use Remembrance myself on the first one, and I do think that it's a pretty good boss to run against. You can run the Remembrance team against Cocolia because she does have quantum weakness, but do keep in mind that she does have ice res. So if you're running a mono Remembrance team, which is full Remembrance, then two of your characters will deal less damage. Against node 3, I think it's probably doable. There isn't really anything special for the Remembrance team. She only has lightning res, so both Caceres and Evernight can do decent damage. I have seen Remembrance teams on pretty much every node, so you are kind of free to do whatever you want. But I myself did use Remembrance on the first node and I got 40k. And for the buffs, it's just variation, which is the third one. For DOT, I think that both the first one and the third one is pretty good. I have seen some people run run on the second one, but the thing is, the second one does have physical res and wind res. So if you're running triple DOT with Kafka, Black Swan and High Sealants, then both High Sealants and Black Swan will have to deal with physical res and wind res. So that might be a bit annoying. For the third boss, she only has a lightning res. So both Black Swan and High Sealants can do the damage. And for the first one, there isn't really any res, so you can essentially just run the DOT team here as well without no issue. But if I were to recommend one, probably the first one, followed by the third one. And for the buffs, it's most likely just variation, which is the third one. Now, for the Archer team, which is the team that I used for Node 2, I would recommend Node 2 as well, because she does have Quantum Weakness, which is pretty good for Archer. If you do want to run him on another node, I think that both Node 1 and Node 3 is fine, but I would highly recommend just running him on the second node, which is what I did myself. Especially if you don't have a high invested team like me, giving him as much leeway as possible is probably the best choice. And for the buffs, it's most likely just variation, which is the third one. Now the follow-up team I think consists of Fei Xiao and Asheville. So immediately I just think that Cocolia is going to be a bit hard if you are running Fei Xiao as the main DPS because of the wind res. And for the third one, there is lightning res. So I do think that the first boss is probably the best choice because there's not really any res, as well as he does have a wind weakness for Fei Xiao. But if you're running Fei Xiao, Asheville and Morton X Blade, I do think that second node is actually pretty good because of the fire weakness and the lightning weakness. So although she does have wind res, both Morton X Blade and Asheville can carry you through the stage. And for the buffs, I'm pretty sure it's just the first one with the follow-up damage. For the Herta, I think the first boss is just generally the best because of the ice weakness. If you can't run the Herta on the first one, I think the third one is probably better because the second boss actually has ice weakness, which is a bit annoying for the Herta. But the first node is definitely preferred for the Herta. For the buffs, I'm not really too sure which one is better between the first one and the third one. The first one can definitely be really good if you're against Lycus, because Lycus can charge your ult again. So it's a lot more damage, a lot more ult damage, and a lot more follow-up for the Herta. And the third one is obviously more defense down, which is good for pretty much any scenario. So if you know which one's better, please let me know down below and I'll pin the comment. But other than that, I just think that you can get by with pretty much either one. So before we end, I can just quickly show my teams. And if you need any sort of assistance, I can probably help through the comments. But we can start off with the Castoris. No Eidolons, my E7, or not E7, E9. My Hyacine, my Cyrene, my Archer, Sparkle, Silverwolf, DHPD, DHPT, Evanesia, Yao Guang, and EMC, and Huohuo, which I redeemed last video. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I'll reply. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.